sealing, protecting new and old timber. Now, again, we started off the question with why AMPRO, and obviously 320, a bit of a store, lots of beautiful canoes and things made up on the Thames with 320 clear coat systems. And EpiSeal 300 is a bit of a stalwart as well. Actually, you've seen the image that we've put up a couple of times of that's the East Anglian 1 design that's been repaired, new keelson put in, planks been done. That's been done with EpiSeal and 106 actually. And so what's happening to those, Phil? Can you bring us up to speed?
I can, and there's a slide here with the packs here. So EpiSeal 500, wonderful product for keeping those old boats alive. It was heavily solvented, so gave it that really low viscosity. It would penetrate deeply into the timbers. However, you did need to leave that for 7 to 10 days before you could do anything with it to allow those solvents to escape from the formulation. So EpiSeal, unfortunately will discontinue. Those solvents are no good for man nor beast. AMPRO Seal replaces that. So that is a lower viscosity version of the AMPRO. So it has a much lower viscosity hardener. It also has a bio content in it. And that is designed to replace EpiSeal. Nice consistency to penetrate the timbers, and you can overcoat on top of it. The next day, you don't have to leave it for 7 to 10 days. So you can really lacquer it up if you need to create that penetrative input into the timber and seal it off. So AMPRO Seal replaces EpiSeal 500. SP320, nice product, a little bit sensitive to the environment in some cases. That will be replaced by the AMPRO Clear. So this has a clear hardener with the AMPRO resin system. So, with AMPRO and AMPRO Clear, you have this whole thing in a nutshell, nice, simple system. AMPRO Clear, I've used this. I've done some oak tables with it. I found the level of self-leveling and also the lack of, fish eyeing and reticulation was far improved over what we used to see with 320. So really nice little product actually. So AMPRO Seal replaces EpiSeal 500 and AMPRO Clear replaces SP320 and AMPRO replaces our dear old 106. But there we go. So I think we've covered most of them. There's another bio thing coming on as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. So we've pretty much got the whole range there.
Can you go on with the 4-day thing with AMPRO or AMPRO Clear over the AMPRO Seal?
Oh, I would like Steve to answer that because I always get a little bit confused. I think you can, and then I think you can't. So Steve, what do you reckon?
So there's a slight anomaly to this one. Seal on seal, no problem. AMPRO on AMPRO, no problem. If you're going to change from one to the other, so you're going to go from seal to AMPRO, then you will need to make sure it's fully cured and sanded and prepped before you swap. You will get fish eyeing problems if you don't.
Okay. Oh, that's a shame. But eventually, actually, if you're going to AMPRO Clear, I suppose you need to do some sanding at some point to get rid of some imperfections. Otherwise, you're never going to end up with that shiny finish.
Typically what I've ended up doing is I've ended up using up to 3 coats of AMPRO Seal on something like an internal of a buoyancy tank. If you're trying to make a dinghy and you want to close off all those internal surfaces you'll never see again, quickly whip 3 coats of seal over it, job done. You are fully sealed.
Can you laminate with the AMPRO Clear as well? I mean, can you
Clear?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have AMPRO Clear and AMPRO on the same shelf, a bit like 320 you used to laminate with as well.
If you've bought the Clear, you can carry on and laminate with Clear. Obviously, if you're looking to try and keep something clearer, because obviously laminate, you're building quite a thickness of product. So if you wanted to keep it as clear as you can, then just laminate with Clear. It will keep it a clearer laminate.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, I'm just going to just some images from one of our customers here. And Just a Fairy Huntsman, actually done on the Isle of Wight, beautiful boat. Just to show you some repairs being done, being used in the trade. The trade uses these products all the time. It's not just a DIY thing at home we buy from the chandlery. There's some timber. This is the old 106 actually. It's not the new AMPRO system. We're waiting to get lots of images from the new AMPRO system at the moment. But the new 106, old 106 has been there to some wooden repairs in the bow. There's the beautiful Fairy Huntsman, the paint system going back on. Finishing up, beautiful boat, just to show you that the trade use it as well. So we're going to go back over. Steve, we just probably interrupted all his preparation for the next thing, but we're going to go back over to Steve in the lab. There he is. And Steve, I'm going to hand over to you.
So this is, I just want to show you, it's not going to be very easy on the screen. It's much easier as you play with this stuff. So this is AMPRO and this is Seal. So the difference is viscosity. It's about half, if not slightly under half the viscosity of the AMPRO for the Seal. There's the actual use of it, no problem at all. I've got a pre-mixed AMPRO, which I'm going to put on here first. I'm going to basically apply some resin to a piece of wood. I'm hoping this will show up. So when you put a layer of AMPRO on, because of its viscosity, you get a positive film thickness. Because it doesn't soak in so well. I'm going to quickly mix this up. This one I should have done earlier.
We did interrupt you, Steve. I'm sorry about that.
But just literally, as you mix in the AMPRO Seal, you'll find that with its lower viscosity, you really don't induce any bubbles into it when you mix it. So it does stay nice and clear. So when you do come to apply it, there's no sort of bubbles popping in it later. It just does exactly what you want. But what it will do, shall I imagine that I've mixed this for 2 minutes? Obviously, in reality, you should be. But for the state of television and monitors or iPads or iPhones, whatever you're deciding to use. So this literally will lay on as a much thinner coat. Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to see this.
See if you get it nice close to the camera. We'll give it a go.
They both look shiny. But basically what will happen is the Seal, which is this side, this will soak in an amount, not obviously as much as the AMPRO, as the old Epoxy would, but it will seal in and you will end up with basically like spikes of fibre, of the wooden fibre sticking up as they basically just wet into it. Those you then dress off before carrying on with a later coat if that's what you want to do. With the AMPRO, you'll end up with getting more resin left on the surface. So when you then finish, when that cures, it'll be more of a glazed finish. But what you will find is the AMPRO Seal, and I've been using this, I've been getting about, I can get it down to about 70 grams per square metre on a standard plywood. With the AMPRO, you'll be looking at least 2 to 3 times that to get a similar sort of coverage. So it will soak in, it will go on very thinly, which is why generally, I was saying before, I would use up to maybe 3 coats to seal something properly, but it's very, very quick to put on. And like the old AMPRO Epoxy, there's no waiting for the solvents to come off. You just let it go tacky, carry on, put another one on. So you can easily put 3 coats on in a day, no problem at all. I
know my colleague Dave was down in Cornwall in the early days of AMPRO. Was he had some boat builders that were struggling actually, both with 106 and another well-known brand because it was cold and they were in open-sided sheds, and they switched them across to AMPRO and they were working. Phil mentioned it at the beginning that the fast cure, fruit cure was good. Do you get the same thing with with the clear and the AMPRO Seal? Are they pretty good at low temperatures?
Yes. So the clear is identical. No issues at all. It is literally a difference in the colour on the hardness. There is some slight different formulation to it, but the reaction point, no problem at all. AMPRO Seal is slightly different, and it's also, we're going to come on to AMPRO Bio later. They're relatively short. Their actually pot life is relatively shorter, about 25% shorter. However, its through cure is that little bit slower. So although you think the pot's gone off great, my time frame has shortened, it is a different chemistry and it is slightly slower to get you that final through cure, but it will still get there after 24 hours. No problem.
Okay, perfect.
What actually, I don't know if this might actually show up now, but in that time that we've been talking, the glaze has definitely fallen off to seal my left-hand one.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it soaked in. Yeah,
it is now soaked in, and that's what you'll get left with, is like a matted, slightly pimply surface as the wood grain fibres all start to stand up.
I have to say, I won't miss the smell of Episeal. I did a wall in my house once to stabilize it. I moved back in 2 weeks later, I think. But there you go.
I did my garage floor with it, and I think the neighbours did a mile.
Thank you, Steve. Let's go back. Let's go back to Chris. Have you got anything for us?
Yeah, a few, but the collective question is about UV stability, and do you still need to overcoat it with a varnish, both interior and exterior?
Tell you what, I'll answer that with a paint head on, if you like. I know for a fact that the epoxies, all neat epoxies in this way, have got no UV stability on them. So from the outside, go for a 2-pack varnish. Now, I would always start with a 2-pack varnish. Even if you want to finish with a single-pack varnish, start with a 2-pack varnish. The single-pack varnish is cured very slowly over epoxy, but you need to build up some UV protection on it. Otherwise, you'll start seeing discoloration of both the resin and the timber. On the inside, if it's not seeing any light at all, then I suppose you could get away with it. I would still give it a light key and put at least 1 coat of polyurethane varnish over it. You still get light coming in from windows and bits and pieces, and that will protect it. But yeah, just worth remembering actually, just from with our marine wear paint hats on, is that when you're dealing with a neat epoxy, it's better to go over with a 2-pack polyurethane, not a single pack. They can be slow, the epoxies, and that can make the single pack slow dry. So does that answer the question, or am I waffling on about paint too much?
No. I think that kind of covers it.
Perfect. Okay, well let's